Chapter 251. Changing into Uniforms. While chatting with Kayano, Amani soon arrived at his workplace, the cafe. He was somewhat tense as it was his first time working part-time. He did not know if Kayano knew of his feelings, for Kayano entered the shop alongside him without hesitation. Once he entered, he heard the chime behind him, a nostalgic one at that. A male staff welcomed them, one he did not see the last time. The staff appeared to be a college student. "Welcome, Kayano-kun. Is the one behind you our newcomer?" "Yep, right in the same shift." It seemed Kayano had introduced Amani beforehand. The male staff showed a genial smile towards Amani, and Kayano nodded back, slapped Amani on the back, and went to the corridor linking to the back counter. He turned to look back, and so did Amane, who saw a male customer prepare to enter. "A customer's here, so let's get changed." "Sorry, Miyamoto-san, looks like I'll only get to introduce you two later on." "Sure. I'll later you later then, newcomer-kun." The staff was called Miyamoto, gave a mischievous wink to the nervous and stiff Amane, and turned towards the entering customer. Amani nodded slightly, but he never got the chance to greet Miyamoto, who turned to wave at them once he saw Amani's situation. The duo then entered the staff changing room. "This is your locker. Here's your key. Your uniform's inside. Get changed." It seemed the owner Itomaki had Kayano guide Amane and handed over the locker key. Amane received it and got changed into his work clothes, following the lead of Kayano, who had taken off his blazer. The prepared uniform so happened to fit Amane, given that the sizes were measured beforehand. Amane was dressed in the same uniform as Miyamoto: white shirt, black cummerbund, black garson apron, and slacks. The outfit was a little less formal compared to what he wore during the cultural festival, but a little more posh, befitting of a waiter. Amane looked at himself in the full-sized mirror of the changing room and found a completely different person. He looked towards Kayano, who had quickly gotten changed, looking prim and proper. "Doesn't look weird, right? I think it's fine. Shina-san should be happy to see this. I don't intend to show this to Mahiru yet. She'll find it a pity, I guess." She did, and I got her understanding. Amane intended to get used to this work quickly, not cause her trouble, and get her to wait until then. He showed a wry smile, and so did Kayano. "Anyway, was Kido happy to see you in that? That Ayaka? She prefers if I strip instead of wearing that much." "Oh yeah." Amane looked enlightened, and Kayano's grimace intensified. Kayano said, "It's not that she doesn't have interest in my outfit, but she's more of a troublemaker." "Yeah, your muscles are rather amazing. Any secret?" They got changed together. Kayano did show skin, and there were masses of muscles beyond the shirt, which was unimaginable. They were not fats. They were muscles that were trained accordingly, the excesses discard, giving a sense of tautness that left Amane impressed. "You can ask Ayaka, and she'll tell you all the details, both the things that should and shouldn't be said." "Ah, yeah." Amane could imagine the sight of a smiling Kido being relentless while going through the details, and showed a stiff smile. "You want to train too?" I guess a suitable amount of training is fine too, and Mahiru probably will be happy since your Missy taught Mahiru this and that." "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." It's fine. It's enough reason for me to train." Kayano apologized with a conflicted look, for his own girlfriend was overzealous in preaching the charms of muscles. Amani too shrugged, waved his hand, and indicated to Kayano not to worry. Chapter 252. Greeting the Colleagues. "Sorry that I can't welcome you." Amane was led by Kayano towards the snacks-making area, the kitchen, learned where the utensils were, and heard various explanations. Itomaki showed up later and apologized to Amane, looking sorry. "I remember it was today, and was too relaxed because Soji-kun's with you. Once again, Amane-kun, welcome here. Thank goodness the uniform fits you well. It is exactly as Ayaka-san determined." Well, Ayaka got it right, but it's ridiculously right. Kayano's little murmur had Amane nearly burst out a laugh, but he reined at it and gently bowed towards Itomaki. "I'll be in your care, starting today. Same for me, You met the others, haven't you? He just met Miyamoto-san once, and hasn't met Uhashi-san. He's brewing coffee at the counter, so I don't think they bumped into each other. Well then, just have a look around for now. No customer placed an order yet. Everyone will be working together in the future. Itomaki smiled magnanimously. Suji-kun, please swap out with Miyamoto-san and the others outside, and indicated so to Kayano before she drifted to the entrance to call for them. Kayano gave Amane an encouraging pat in the back and went out. As Kayano went out, a male and a female entered. The male was called Miyamoto, the one who spoke with them. The girl was in her early 20s, with wavy, fluffy hair. Her distinguishing feature was that she was a fist taller than Chitose, and it was rare to see such a tall girl. Considering what Kayano had just said, it seemed her name was Uhashi. Ah, the kid Kayano-chan just brought over. I heard we got an extra part-timer. Welcome. Nice to meet you. The woman gave a hearty smile and passed Amon by, circling him and observing so. Miyamoto clearly looked bewildered and sighed away. He grabbed the girl by the neck and pulled her away from him. Amane was stunned by the sudden approach, and Miyamoto showed a relaxed smile. Ah, sorry about that. I'm Daichi Miyamoto, and this fellow here is Rino Uhashi. You can look for us if you got any trouble. Don't dismiss me as a fellow. Rino-chan's in a pinch here. Rino-chan's caught and troubled. Then greet him properly before saying anything else. Miyamoto reproached the displeased Uhashi and let go of her reluctantly. She sorted out her crooked collar, turned towards Amane once again, and showed an amicable smile. Sorry to scare you like that, I'm Rino Uhashi. You can rely on me. Kuhai-kun. Miyamoto-san and Uhashi-san, right? I'm Amane Fujimiya. Homu Fujimiya-chan, huh? Got it. She likes to add the chan suffix. Don't mind too much, Fujimiya-kun. Well, I'm fine with however you call me. Amon was not one to bear grudges over a single suffix, and though he did not mind, it just felt amiss to be called with a chan. Miyamoto sighed, seemingly hinting that he too was suffering. He then turned towards Itomaki, who had been watching them silently. So what is Fujimiya-kun doing today? First off, we'll teach him everything and the back end. He probably won't be able to do well if he doesn't understand how that works, even if he's just welcoming customers. Suji-kun will be teaching, and I'll let Fujimiya-kun learn all those. Sorry to trouble everyone. It's fine. Nobody actually gets down to work immediately after joining, let alone a first-timer. Don't mind. We got enough people here. Owner, I'm a little skeptical if we really have enough people. The shop's not ridiculously big, but we really are getting a little busy, especially with our numbers. Well, you are helping us out here, Fujimiya-kun. Miyamoto gave a relieving smile and patted Amane on the shoulder. Amane too smiled, and Itomaki watched on, looking relieved. Chapter 253. The Waiting Angel. After the guidance of this and that's from the seniors, Amon returned home, and it was past bath time. He took the elevator to his house and let out a long sigh. The shift was merely 4 hours or so, but Amane felt so lethargic, probably because he was unfamiliar with the environment and work. He did not commit any serious error, or rather he was not set up in a situation where he could have, but the first time was always filled with tension. Luckily for him, though his seniors had quite the personalities, they got along well and earnestly treated Amane, who remained unfamiliar with work. Amon felt it was really a good place to work at, but it did not change the fact that he was tired. He exited the elevator, went to his door, and his footsteps were heavier than usual. He opened the door as usual and saw Mahiru scampering down the corridor from the living room. He blinked away once he saw her panicking, and she showed a relieved smile. Welcome back, Amane-kun. Yep, I'm back. You don't have to run over here. Sorry to keep you waiting. It was just a guess, but she probably had been waiting for Amane the entire time. He did tell her when he would be back, but she probably felt helpless, being all alone and such. Mahiru had always been at Amane's place ever since they started. Other than bathing and sleeping, she had been completely used to the place. Surely she would feel lonely to be left alone. And not at all. I had lots to do when you were alone. Lots to do, so you're not lonely? That is another matter. She averted her eyes, her cheeks blushing slightly, and Amani laughed. She noticed so, puffed her cheeks slightly, looking a little displeased, and yet had some intent to fawn. Humph, she pouted, and turned her head aside. Aman did not sheath his smile as he removed his shoes before entering and went straight to the washroom. The lights inside were switched on. He turned back to look at Mahiru, who stood there, giving a matter-of-fact expression, seemingly elated. A bath or dinner first. A change in these words, and it would be a newlywed invitation. Amane could not help but smile after Mahiru said so, and barely held it in. Mahiru herself might not have noticed that it was an adorable part. You're hungry too, right? Let's have dinner then. I shall serve it then. I made dashimaki as a reward for your hard work, since it is your first day working. Well, that's quite the reward. Fufu. You are easily contented then. It's something I like, and delicious, and also made by you. Adding them all up, it's the best quality I can get. Thank you for everything. After all, it was taxing on her to personally make it. It was not something easily made, it was made for Amane, and that was enough. Moreover, the really scrumptious flavor was a fabulous, lavish reward. Mahiru had been cooking for Amane every day, and considered his likes, which he was really grateful for. Once again, he felt that she really was a priceless partner. I have to repay her for all she has done, so he thought as he washed his hands and went to the living room. Mahiru then clung onto his back. He turned behind, wanting to check her expression, but her face clung onto his back unseen. The only thing he knew was that she was embarrassed. She wrapped her arms on his belly while rubbing her forehead onto him as though she was strangling him. Good thing I'm training my abs now, so Amane quietly thought to himself as he laughed. Mahiru could tell that he was laughing given his breathing and tummy, and started hammering at his flank. I am glad that you are grateful to me, but do not attack me suddenly, so I can praise you as much as I want if I mention beforehand. That will not do either. I shall torture you one day, Mahiru said, and let go. For some reason, she had a determined look on her face and hurried towards the kitchen. That's quite an energetic manner to escape, so Amani thought as he quietly laughed to himself and went to change in his room. Anyway, how is work? Dinner was Japanese-styled. Mahiru seemed to be curious about Amani's work and asked him somewhat uneasily while they were eating. No problems. I didn't do anything much for my first day, and my seniors are all good. I think it's a good place to work part-time. I see that is good. It is fine if you are comfortable. I was worried if it is a black company. It's Kito's recommendation, and Kayano isn't unhappy about the work there. Don't worry. After all, the shop was run by Kito's relative, Itomaki, and Kito would have noticed any problems otherwise and prevented Kayano from working there. It was a reason why Amane could be at ease there. He had not known or spoken to Kito for a long time and felt that though she would push her weird knowledge and unnecessary fetishes onto Mahiru, she was a kind woman. The owner, Itomaki, too, was a kind, poised woman as long as he did not stimulate her delusions, according to Kayano. He should be fine working there. Don't worry. I think I can work well there. The shift arrangements take my time into consideration. That is good, as long as you can continue to work hard. I can only cheer you on and watch silently. That's enough for me. I get to return home and eat delicious food with you around, get a hot bath, and this is happiness for me. Such support was a rarity by itself, and Aman felt he was blessed. He was really grateful. I shall chip in with what little strength I have, even if it is to see you at work sooner. Amane-kun. You really want to look? Aman replied dumbfoundedly once he learned of this personal motive, and she nodded firmly. I want to see my lover at work. Kito-san did show me photos of Kayano-san at work, so I think they should suit you very well. Really? I am looking forward to seeing them. I find it embarrassing, though. Don't really want anyone else to see it. He did not exactly hated the idea, but that he might find it somewhat indescribably embarrassing to show Mahiru a side he usually would not show. Mahiru, however, might have felt this contrast was worth it. She wanted to see the side Amane usually would not show, and she clearly was preparing for the situation. "I think I can leave it be if you are unwilling." "Not that I'm unwilling, but is it really interesting to see my business smile? You usually would not show it, and I wish to see it. I can show that kind of smile if you want. But that is a smile directed to me. It is different." She was right. Amane could not determine if his smile towards Mahiru was biased. He believed he would show a smile only for Mahiru. "And I wish to see you work hard. I'll try my best to get used to it." Since she said so, he had no choice but to buck up. He had to spare no effort given that his dear girlfriend wanted to see his other self at the workplace. Getting familiar with work would grant more benefits to the shop and gain him more self-confidence. Mahiru's words motivated him lots, and he felt like a simpleton. However, that little thought he had of himself vanished the moment he saw her smile and the expectations in the sparkling eyes. Chapter 254. The Seniors at the Workplace. He slowly got used to the environment he was unused to, and after a week, Aman had some grasp of the work. His job was mainly to serve the customers and not to make any dishes, which relieved him. There was no need for him to brew coffee for the customers, but he was taught how to brew coffee at the counter as practice. The cafe placed a high emphasis on coffee and would not allow any compromise of taste. Any variations in the beans and the granules meant that the extraction temperature and time would change. Amon had to keep practicing as this was the flavor to be provided to the customers until he could replicate it. In any case, he should be able to brew a decent coffee as long as he remembered the timing and how to use the equipment. After serious coaching and continual practice, Amon managed to do it. It's nice. There were few customers, and thus a certain frequency of orders. Kayano and Uhashi handled the outside, and Amane was assigned to train under Miyamoto. It was a siphon-brewed coffee, as to be expected of a cafe, and it seemed fine. "You can shorten the extraction time, I guess. I used the timer, though. You aren't familiar with it and delayed it, I guess. Also, you got nervous since you'll be serving it to the customers, right?" "Sorry, I'll deal with it." Miyamoto was not being strict and nitpicky. On the contrary, he was kindly explaining things, detailed and patient. Amani was not confident enough to brew coffee for the customers, however, and it probably was a reason why he spent too much time. Also, the siphon was made of glass, and he was worried if he broke it. It seemed Miyamoto too understood what Amani was thinking. "I didn't dare touch it either when I started out. It looks fragile after all," he chuckled. "Just don't break it. And don't be too violent, and you'll be fine. You're rather delicate at handling things." "That's good. I think you're being so attentive about this because Reno broke it on her first day, Fujimiya-kun. Don't worry, it's a human error. It's not like you'll be scolded that badly if you break one. If you break a few of them, however, the owner's probably going to scold you with a troubled look. It sounds like you experienced that yourself." Reno did that. The owner's face froze back then. Miyamoto gave a nostalgic look as he whispered so. A man responded with an ambiguous smile, quietly swore to pay attention, and took a sip of Miyamoto's coffee, followed by his. The rich bitterness spread on his tongue. The bitterness would not last too long on the tongue, and instead would give a warmth aftertaste with depth. He did not like coffee that was extremely acidic, and this coffee was a fine blend of acrid and acidic, and the slight sweetness of the beans. It was delectable. "Ah, it's so good. Looks fragrant." Amani took a quick break while nobody placed an order, and Uhashi suddenly entered, with saucers and used plates in hand. The customers must have left, and cleanup was needed. "Fujimiya-chan, give me a sip." Uhashi put the plates into the trough and asked for Amani's coffee. Amani wondered what to do, and the next moment, Miyamoto tugged her by the neck, pulling her away. "Oi, Fujimiya has a girlfriend. Don't do anything that'll cause a misunderstanding." "Ah, sorry, looks like he has. I got a lot of brothers, though, so I don't really care." Aman had explained the reason why he was working, which was why Miyamoto stopped Uhashi, who obediently backed off. On one hand, Miyamoto was clearly looking dumbfounded, and on the other, Uhashi was giving a dumb smile. They appeared to be really close, unlike normal colleagues, or so Amane seriously thought over the past week, but he had been wondering if he should ask them about this. You two really are on good terms. We've childhood friends, together for 20 years or so. Well, I can say we're platonic at least. How rude. The displeased Uhashi swung a karate chop at Miyamoto's flank and was pinched on her own, squealing away. This bond was not something that could occur over a single day. Amon immediately understood the reason for their intimacy. Even then, they seemed to be a little too close as childhood friends. He had no childhood friends, and so he tilted his head, not knowing if this was normal. Chapter 255, The Angels Acting Suspicious. Recently, Amane got used to returning home after sunset due to his part-time work, so he jogged back home as exercise. Due to the timing, he might be sent for counseling if he loitered around in his uniform, so he even put on a jumper with reflective straps on his shoulders after work. It might not be an appropriate attire, but he had to do so for safety concerns. He jogged home while paying attention to the nearby cars and pedestrians, and by the time he arrived home, it would be another 3 hours until the day ended. He felt intrigued by how busy he was, for he used to be part of the going home club, but it was not a bad feeling. He had been too relaxed until now. Until he met Mahiru, he never attended club activities, was lazy, and even after then he studied with her, lived as freely as he wanted, and never crammed his schedule too much. And at this point, he acted as per a fixed schedule. It was restrictive, but yet fulfilling. I'm back. He was a little lethargic as he opened the door and called out. The lights were on, but he could not see anyone. Perhaps Mahiru had made dinner and was waiting for him. He removed his shoes, looked at the living room, but Mahiru was not in. He looked into the kitchen, and there was a nice smell coming from the stove. The food inside was probably done. Given how there was cooked food inside, it seemed she had prepared dinner for him before she left. He did not think she had to stay at his place, and it was not a bad thing for her to treasure her own time, but it was a rare sight. He sent her a message beforehand, stating that he would return home. Shall I send another message? The moment he thought so, there was a sound of the door hastily unlocked. Emine-kun, you are early. Someone else is doing the cleanup today, and I ran a little faster, sorry. Seems like you're doing something, Mahiru. Should I be a little slower? Not at all. I wanted to see your face sooner, Amane-kun. Mahiru shook her head frantically. That's good. He chuckled back at her as he saw her hair sway aside. He beamed due to these cute words from her. And Mahiru did not mind, but she awkwardly looked down, muttering something. Mahiru? I just had a thought. Please do not worry. I shall prepare dinner since you are back. I will heat the rice while you are bathing. The bath is ready. Thank you for everything. Mahiru acted a little gingerly, and Amane felt suspicious. The moment she passed him by, he sensed a sweet, soft fragrance from her. She usually had a sweet fragrance, but the scent this time was different. It was not of the shampoo, not from herself, but more of something else external. To be precise, it was the smell of baked sweets. What? What is it? Well, your scent is different from usual, Mahiru. It's the sweet smell of sweets. Actually, I had oyatsu. Is that so? I don't really eat a lot, but you don't eat as much as me. You sure you can eat dinner if you eat too much? She usually would control her food intake to maintain her body shape. So this was a surprise. Mahiru's food intake was not exactly meager, but it was not much either. She probably could not finish dinner after having the oyatsu. I can finish the food. No worries. Please go into the bath. You are hungry after work. Are you not, Amane-kun? Well, I'm famished, so have a nice bath and a good meal, okay? It seemed Mahiru wanted to hide something as she shoved Amane's back. He sensed there was a catch, but he did as she wanted and got his change of clothes in the bedroom. Chapter 256. The Angel's Profound Thoughts. It seemed Mahiru was hiding something from Amane. His suspicion would increase whenever he returned home from his part-time work. Rather, it's more of conviction than doubt. She was acting sheepish. She would always do so whenever Amae left home. And clearly, she had something she did not want Amae to see. If he were to ask, Mahiru would surely divert the topic. He did not want to force the issue. She had her own reservations, and perhaps it was a matter of genders after all. Having thought so, it would be rude of him to pursue the matter. He was a little suspicious, but he did not intend to probe further. On a side note, he asked Chitose, but she insisted she knew nothing either. Given how she was acting, it was obvious both of them knew what was going on. Amane was a little uneasy about how he was left in the lurch, but he knew it would be inappropriate to talk to someone of the same gender, so he did not say anything. Mahiru seems to be hiding something. His frustrations and anxieties would compound if he did not ask. So while he was on his way to work, he grumbled to his colleague Kayano. Kayano did not react to the sudden remark, and blinked away as he sat next to Amani on the train, wondering how he should reply. Had an argument? Not at all. But Mahiru looks like she's hiding something. Being all suspicious doesn't look like I messed up or anything, though. Aman too wondered if he had inadvertently did anything bad, so he asked her in a discreet manner, but she tilted her head in confusion, which showed it was not. If she's hiding something from her boyfriend, it's usually because she's cheating, but I don't think Shina-san's the type to do that. I'm not familiar with her, but looking at her personality and your relationship, that's impossible. I too think Mahiru's not being insincere towards me. She hates it when people cheat on her. Kayano casually suggested so, but this would not happen with Mahiru around. She grew up in a complicated environment and never was one to allow for infidelity. She had seen her mother looking for lovers. Her disdain for infidelity was such that she would certainly say she would never end up like that. Aman could not think of any other reason to hide, however. Mahiru was never one adept at hiding things, and she never would. Whenever she did stuff behind his back, she would feel guilty, and whenever he sensed something and probed her, she would confess. She was never one to hide anything. She clearly wanted to this time, and did not want Amain to realize, which was why she did not say anything. My guess is that Mahiru's hiding something from me, but not because she's guilty. I get the feeling that she doesn't want me to see or know something, but it's not a bad thing. I know the only thing that embarrasses her is me. If she broke something, she'll tell me honestly and apologize or something. I don't think it's anything harmful. What do you intend to do? Nothing. Eh? The sudden words were unexpected to Kayano, who asked again. The train continued to race on, letting out dull creaks. Amain sighed, and the voice too blended with the surrounding noises. If Mahiru doesn't want to tell me anything, I shouldn't be asking. I too have a secret or two. If she doesn't want me to probe into it, I shouldn't. You're rather chill about that. I believe Mahiru's definitely not doing this to harm me. Instead of butting in everywhere, we should all have our secrets and not probe into it. We trust each other and should respect each other's privacy. I heard this is the trick to remain amicable with others. Such were the words his lovey-dovey parents said for many years, and it was convincing. They were on such fine terms, but they did not have to interfere in everything. One should always treasure alone time, and while they dabbled in their interests, they were separate from each other. Even when together, they did their own things. And the warm, gentle atmosphere was comforting even to Amane, the son. Thanks to his parents' teachings, he learned how to respect his own time and others. But speaking of which, what if she really did something guilty? It means it's not anything worth discussing with me. If she actually abandoned me, it means I'm uncharismatic and useless. It's my fault. Mahiru was likely a devoted girl who treasured her relationships a lot. If she abandoned Aman without discussing this, it would most probably be Amani's fault. Mahiru would probably explain her feelings truthfully before disengaging the relationship. Well, it's Mahiru, so it should be fine. I'm just restless out of curiosity. Seriously, you're rather calm when you make up your mind, Fujimiya. Really? His stance was simply due to his complete trust in Mahiru. He would not get the answer no matter how restless he was, so he should simply wait until the answer was revealed. Mahiru's issue definitely was not a bad one, and he believed so he would not ask. He was a little anxiety, but that could be forgiven. Like, you didn't look confident when I used to see you on the corridor. You really look better now as the boyfriend of the amazing angel. I really didn't have confidence. I only get to stand upright because I got friends kicking me in the back and Mahiru supporting me. Aman really was kicked in the back and beaten physically and metaphorically. Thanks to them, he could stand next to Mahiru and have her support him. He was sustained with proper food and living habits, and also mental support. Aman did not think this effort was suffering, and he really enjoyed so. I'm really grateful, Amane summarized, and Kayano nodded understandingly. It's all thanks to Shina-san's support as the wife, or rather, the more you treasure her, the more she glows for you, Fujimiya. I don't know about glow or anything, but I can't be weak when I stand next to Mahiru, and I have to be someone I can be proud of. I want to be impressive as a guy. It's all thanks to Mahiru that I have such thoughts. She really supported me. I think it's also because of your morals that she's willing to support you, you know? Thanks for the compliments, but I think that I can straighten my back thanks to her. I'll do so for her sake or not. I'm working hard to be a match for Mahiru, all because of her. Mahiru's the impressive one, so Amane muttered. So I'm the one getting the humble brag now? Kayano retorted, and Amane felt a little apologetic, awkward until they reached the station. Chapter 257. An Anxious Maiden's Heart. The part-time work was 3 to 4 days per week, fluctuating depending on the shift, but usually within this period. He could earn money over the weekend, but he chose to spend time with Mahiru. A student's duty was to study, and he could not slack, which the owner Itomaki agreed. She had been cheering for him in many ways, along with the true reason for his work. It was a rest day, and Amane had nothing to do since morning. Lazy he might be. He did do some muscle training and jogging, quickly finished his assignments, and finally got some rest. It was a lifestyle much improved from the past. He noted wryly that he was actually living a healthy lifestyle. After doing all his tasks in the morning, there remained something he was curious about. Yes, the thing Mahiru had been hiding recently. Seems like she's being jittery about something today too. Mahiru visited Amane in the afternoon and looked a little tense. She was a little calm after she had eaten oyatsu, but she looked a little nervous when he looked over at her. Clearly she was hiding something. Aman did not point it out, and so she reverted to her usual calm till this point. He sat on the sofa, and she sat next to him. She was calm, but she looked a little listless, or rather, she had something on her mind. He finally had a break and wanted to enjoy Mahiru, but it would be inappropriate when she was so spaced out. He hoped to hug her, at least, and replenish the lack of Mahiruism caused by his part-time work life. Mahiru. Yes? Can I hug you? He was relieved to see a reaction, but he asked cautiously, and Mahiru blinked away, showed a faint smile, and nodded. She spread her arms wide, so he went along with her goodwill as he gently embraced her. On this day, it was the smell of chocolate. There's a sweet smell every day, huh? Mahiru really liked sweets, but even she would not snack on them too often. She would manage her own body size seriously and never would indulge. Recently, however, there was often a sweet smell around her. Aman was not too fond of such foods, but he liked the sweet scents. He did not dislike the sweet, fragrant scents from her whenever they touched. However, he did not think anything more than nice smell. He cautiously brought her slender body to his side, and when he tried to close in on her and gently touch her waist, she jolted. "Ya." It seemed she instinctively blurted this refusal, and Amain sensed that his head started to cool rapidly. They usually leaned upon each other, and direct contact might not be appropriate, even though she was his girlfriend. Perhaps it was a matter of mood, or perhaps it might be that she did not want to be touched, just like now. "I messed up." Amane gave such a look as he moved away from Mahiru. Mahiru looked up at his face, confused. "Sorry, I got too greedy." I do not hate it. You are mistaken. This is a misunderstanding. I do not dislike to be hugged by you, Amane-kun." It seemed she realized Amane thought she rejected him, and she hastily flailed her hands, voicing her opinion. But you don't want to, right? I do not want. I am concerned about my belly now. Belly? I I may have gotten a little fatter. If you wrap my waist, that is a little. Mahiru said, put her hands on her belly, and Amani was perplexed. Mahiru had perfect management over her body size and appearance, and touch-wise, he could not feel that she got any fatter. Just moments ago, he was worried that she was so skinny, it affected her health. Perhaps it would be healthier for her to grow a little more flesh. Where? You still look rather thin, probably because of your dietary habits. He knew that Mahiru would do some stretches and simple exercises at home, sometimes go out for a jog, or even play the fitness games of the game console at his place. Even as part of the Going Home Club, Mahiru would never scrimp on exercise to keep herself beautiful. It was impossible to imagine her getting fat. He did not think so. But for some reason, Mahiru was unwilling to look at him in the eyes. Did you? Nan, not at all. I have not slacked on my exercise, and I am more hard-working than before. I have balance in all my meals. But other than those meals. You've been snacking? Snacking. You say yes. I have been. That is the reason. That's surprising. Mahiru was particular about her body, and thus her food intake. It was surprising that she could eat so much to the point that she was worried. Well, there is what they call fall's appetite, and the food's delicious. We got more delicious food that's different from summer's. No wonder you would snack on oyatsu. It is because I have been indecisive. Eh? Noting in any case, if you touch my belly, the fat will. I don't think you have any extra fat. You're skinny, and there isn't much flesh. If there is, it's within the margin of error. Your muscles are sturdy, it's fine for it to be a little softer. To Aman, it was the world who was so insistent on being skinny. But even by that baseline, Mahiru was appropriately slender. He was fine, even if she was a little more rounded. He did not like her because she was skinny, pretty, or cute. He liked Mahiru as a person, not because of her body shape. Her body shape was fine as long as her health was not compromised. Don't worry too much about it. So he said as he gave her eyes a serious look. Ooh. She whimpered and looked up at him. She might think it was a huge issue, but to Amain, a little extra fat was not something to be concerned with. He did not feel any excess fat when he touched her, and if she did not allow him to, that would be a matter of life and death. I want you to heal me a little, can't I? And, not that I cannot, I am fine with that. Amani smiled towards a somewhat reluctant Mahiru, wrapped her in his clutches, and to be precise, he lifted her out. He hugged the frozen Mahiru, put her between his legs, had her sit on the sofa, and she ended up like a doll. This was the most comfortable position to carry her on the sofa. Mahiru looked a little uneasy, probably because she was embarrassed. However, she obediently leaned onto him, and one could see that she was not completely against this. He wrapped his arms around her waist and touched the belly she said she was particular about. She was still slender, however, and he wondered as to why she assumed mistakenly that she had grown fat. I don't feel a change. I am working hard, but I do care. You're so slim, though. Well, if you really mind, Mahiru, I can't say anything. I like you for however you are, Mahiru. Yes. Aman would cheer on Mahiru if she wanted to slim down to an appropriate level. But it did not mean he wanted her to be skinny. He flatly denied the misunderstanding she had, that she had gotten fat, and he did not want to deny the hard work and determination to slim down. Just don't force yourself, so he thought, and he gently embraced her, to feel her body that as soft as it usually was. How much effort was needed to be so slender and soft? Truly the bodies of girls were a mystery. While experiencing so, Aman buried his face into her shoulder, and another sweet scent entered his nostrils along with the conditioner and her milky scent. It's the smell of chocolate today. So he thought as he gently slid his lips towards her neck. He did not intend to do anything, and the feeling of Mahiru's skin was enough to make him happy. He could practically savor the delicious white skin. It was a male instinct, to be expected. He put his lips over, kissed the silky skin, and rubbed his cheeks onto Mahiru, who made a ticklish sound. You really like to fawn when you are tired, Amane-kun. Right back at you, but well, I want some human warmth. It was, as Mahiru said, that whenever they felt tired, they would try to cling on to each other to be revitalized. The experience of body warmth and sense was a relieving sense of bliss. Usually it was Mahiru who was more prone to fawning around, but recently, Amane had been tired, so he too ended up fawning more often. You can do whatever you like, but please do not leave a mark. Others could see it. Chitose-san spotted the one you left the last time you stayed over and teased me. Sorry about that. I should make sure it's not so easy to spot. Aman was so excited back then, half his sanity went on strike. Of course, he did not cross that line, but he obediently obeyed his desire to dye the white skin. And so he left it on a place that could be seen. He reflected on his actions. He was so embarrassed to recall what happened that night, and he even embraced her too hard. Mahiru, in his clutches, started slapping hard at his thigh. That is not the problem either. Will you become like this once you get used to it? No, not that I'm used to it. I think that as a guy I'm happy to leave my mark. Obviously he would not get used to it simply by seeing skin once. The shame rose up to his face once he remembered so, and his desire perked, but his sanity kept it in check. The fact remained that his desire was aroused. If there was a next time, the white skin would once again have another mark left by Amani's lips. There's no way I can get used to this. It's a girl's body, so a man muttered to a displeased Mahiru in his clutches, and wrapped his hand on the hand slapping his thigh. Finally, Mahiru acted docile. Her ears were red, and clearly she was embarrassed. Next time, please do so at a place that cannot be seen. You're thinking of the next time already. That is because I am happy with whatever you do, Amane-kun. I really like to be petted by you. The sight of Mahiru fidgeting while muttering so was so adorable, and he intertwined his fingers with hers. She said she would accept anything Amane did, and she loved to be petted, which nearly caused his sanity to go amok. He barely managed to contain himself, and only kissed her on the neck. The still sensitive Mahiru shivered, but she let him do what he liked. Anyway, no marks to be left for now. If you want to, that will be for beer. Beer? Nothing at all. Please do not mind. Now I'm really curious. It is fine. The hesitant Mahiru caused him to tilt his head, and she raised her voice shrilly, trying to befuddle him or something. She forcibly pressed her weight onto him. She's so light, and Aman accepted with a chuckle. Chapter 258. Taking a breather with friends while on break from work. Ever since Amani began his part-timer life, the question would be if he spent the rest of his time with Mahiru. The answer would be no. Mahiru had her own life, and sometimes she would want to be alone or go out with others. Mahiru had been planning something behind Amani's back recently, so on days when he did not have to work, he could rest at home until dinner time after school or hang out with Itsuki and the others. You sure you'll be fine hanging out with us, newlywed? Your wife won't get jealous? Itsuki invited Amane out with Kadawaki, and they went to a coffee chain to try out a new product. They ordered a takeaway and ate at a park near the station when Itsuki suddenly said so. Who's the newly anyway? I can hang out during my own free time. I'm hanging out with guy friends, not girls. Just hanging out. Ow. You say you're just hanging out with me. What? You're the one who invited me out. If we're really talking about that definition of hanging out, that's impossible for me. Itsuki sounded like Amane was a serial cheater and wriggled his body about. The latter rolled his eyes back at Itsuki, who quickly reverted back and nodded away, giving the look of one who knew everything. Of course, you two are so hot for each other. There's no way for us to interrupt. First of all, you got Chitose. Secondly, I don't need you. How cruel. Well, you're the interfering one, Itsuki. That's harsh of you, Yuta. Kadawaki coldly noted as he drank the new limited edition frozen shake, ignoring Itsuki's words completely with a stoic look. It's November. It's cold out there. It's amazing that he could think of having a cold drink outdoors. So Aman thought as he sipped a hot matcha latte he ordered. Itsuki realized that nobody took his side, made a fake cry that lasted for 10 seconds or so, and acted as though nothing happened as he heartily drank the limited edition sweet potato latte. Well, that aside, you can hang out with us, but you're not tired? If I'm already tired, Katawaki would already be worn out every day. I do get enough rest even at the club, and it's not as mentally taxing as serving customers. After all, I like to run. You sure you don't get stressed at work, Fujimiya? Still hanging on. I don't really like to deal with customers, but they're usually older and rather matured. The seniors at the workplace treat me well, and they do teach me carefully. The only stress I have is that I'm not doing well enough, not because of the environment. It had not been a month since he started work, yet he felt it was the right choice to have Kido recommend him to work here. His service skills would be of use in the future, and he was grateful that the colleagues were all kind. Truth be told, half of a successful job was the colleagues. Amane was thus grateful to Kido for recommending a workplace where everyone was kind. Better thank her again next time. Amane swore, shook the round paper cup, and shrugged. I think it's a pity to give me such a good workplace. That's a good thing. A work environment's very important. A workplace where everyone is disposable doesn't sound good. Nobody would ever work at such a place. Even part-timers have a choice to choose. The body and soul is more important, and Mahiru would most likely hate such a workplace. She really loves you. I don't think that has anything to do with what we said, right? He just wanted to say that, right? Amain glanced aside at Katawaki, who grinned away. Feeling ticklish, Amain turned his head aside. Say, your workplace is a cafe, right, Amane? Yeah, the target group's mainly the rich. Decent food and drinks feels like it's worth the money. Anyone tried to woo you there, Amane? It's common. What's your idea of a cafe, anyway? No. Some calm married women call me cute, most probably in the clumsy sense. They look at me like I'm a grandson or something. There were quite a few ladies and gentlemen who would give the unacquainted new staff some warm, gentle smiles. The young would not usually visit, so he never was wooed before. Also, there were other well-tempered and good-looking staff. If anyone really wanted to woo, they would be the first targets. The most Amani experienced was a really old grandmother who said slowly, I really want to introduce my granddaughter to you. Of course, Amani cautiously refused due to his girlfriend. Looks like you're very popular with the elderly, Fujimiya. You're usually poised and polite after all. I am serving customers. I can't be careless. Well, given the customer base, I guess a quiet, unimpressive person like me might be easier to talk to. It often happened. Aren't you the popular one then? Just to chit-chat. Age and gender didn't matter. It's common for staff to chat with the customers in the cozy atmosphere when we have the time. Luckily, it was not the atmosphere of a usual coffee chain. It was a space for calm and peace, one suited for chatting. It was established by the many poised old customers. It's interesting to imagine you being popular with the housewives who got nothing to do. Say that has nothing to do with this. That's rude to them. Don't get any funny ideas. Feels like there's really a possibility. It's a little scary. You too, Katawaki. Et tu? So Aman gave a dumbfounded look, but he saw a more serious look than he imagined. That's impossible, and he hastily insisted. In any case, he had a girlfriend he liked, and pledged his future to her. He could no longer promise any other woman and believed that he had no interest in them. Surely they would hope Amane would not misunderstand so. Goodness, Amane sighed. Itsuki shrugged and looked at the watch on his wrist. Time's up. What? The time to borrow you, you know? Say, you. It was true that Amane belonged to Mahiru, but Mahiru was not the possessive kind, and she probably would not be jealous about him hanging out with his male friends. So he thought, ah, yes. But Katawaki too noted so, which left Amane perturbed. It's past 5, but it gets dark early, and colder. How about we split for now? You got other stuff to do once you get back after all. Well, yeah. All right, dismissed. It's freezing. Itsuki suddenly dismissed them, turned towards the entrance of the park, wanting to leave immediately. However, he then turned back towards Amane. Say, Amane. What? I got lots of stuff to ask you tomorrow. Prepare yourself. Itsuki said something ridiculous out of a sudden and hurriedly left, while Amane looked dumbfounded. Same here. See you tomorrow. Katawaki too showed a wry look before heading off. Amon felt a little conflicted at how he was left behind, and remained confused as he proceeded on his way back. Chapter 259. The Waiting Angel. Amon returned home, and Mahiru welcomed him as usual. The difference was that she was smiling, her eyes excited, and her smile a lot calmer and gentler. Her slightly blushing cheeks showed her joy. Welcome back, Amane-kun. I'm back. You're in a good mood. Mahiru's good mood was really worth celebrating, but Amane had no idea as to why she was so happy. Usually she would welcome him with a beaming smile, but he had never. He did not know the reason and naturally was troubled. One had to wonder if she noticed his troubled thoughts, for her smile intensified. Looks like you never noticed anything the entire day, Amane-kun. Notice what? I am speechless that you never noticed what day it is today. It is your birthday today, Amane-kun. Mahiru said, looking a little flabbergasted. Ah, and Amane blurted out, Goodness, Amane-kun, happy birthday, Amane-kun. I forgot about it. I didn't really pay attention to myself. It would be weird to say that he recalled once Mahiru said so, but he had completely forgotten about it, and never realized so. Mahiru did not know his birthday the previous year, and over the past few weeks, Amane had used a lot of brain power getting used to this unfamiliar workplace, sparing the rest of his efforts on daily muscle training, jogging, and revision. He had completely forgotten about his birthday. In any case, to Amane, his birthday was a milestone, but he was oblivious to it, and did not have any plans to celebrate it. It might be a reason why he forgot. His parents would celebrate this for him back home, but ever since he lived alone, he never thought about it until this point. It is not insignificant, you know. I am grateful for the day you are born. Without you, I can never really trust and love a single person. Mahiru grimaced at Amane's forgetfulness, and she gently raised his hand. Because of you, I know that love truly exists, Amane-kun, and this is why I am so happy. Your birth is something I am really grateful for. Her eyes were radiating a warm light unlike their initial encounter, and they stared at him. The intertwined hand was warm. It felt as though Mahiru's passion towards him was contained in this hand, a peaceful, cozy warmth. Thank you very much for being born, for meeting me. She was really delighted, her voice and clearly expressed so, and Amane felt his cheeks searing. He learned it was possible for the body to feel hot after being thanked and blessed. It was until his encounter with Mahiru that it was not an annoying feeling, but a different one, a fluffy one. Amane was the blessed one to be thought so highly. I'm the one to be grateful that you think of me so much, and even celebrate this with me. He did not know how to convey this warmth and the emotions, so he stammered to convey his thanks. Mahiru then said bashfully, I prepared a little feast for you today. Please look forward to it. And before we eat, there are 2 things I want to apologize for. Things to apologize for? Amane tilted his head, and Mahiru lowered her eyes awkwardly. You notice that I have been fidgeting around. I'm sorry for causing you unrest. Ah, that well, looking at it, it's obvious. I don't think you'll do anything cruel about me. I'm just worried if I did anything bad. I do not think you would do anything to me. However, I caused you worry because I cannot really hide things. I am sorry for hiding something from you, Amane-kun. Mahiru probably wanted to surprise Amane, to prepare for his birthday, which was why she had that attitude. She really could not hide it from him, and felt guilty as a result. It was cute that she was hiding something, and for Amane's sake, he had no intention to blame her. I don't mind that. And what's the other? I was preparing for your birthday secretly, and everyone seemed to have understood me, so they never said to you all to create this surprise. Actually, I wanted to celebrate this with everyone at school, but because of me, it affected the blessing you should have received on this day, Amane-kun. Ah, so that's how it is. Both Itsuki and Chitose knew of his birthday, and they were the type to celebrate a friend's birthday. Thus, since they never spoke up, it became a big reason as to why Amani forgot about his own birthday. They did not say anything so as to go along with Mahiru's plans, and Itsuki's invite after school was probably to delay Amane. Those guys, so he muttered. But he knew how gentle his voice sounded at this point. He was at a loss on how to deal with the apologetic Mahiru, so he gently tapped her head while she looked down. To be honest, I don't really mind about date, location, or whether I was, though. I already forgot everything about it. It's not that we have to celebrate today, right? Those guys are being caring for our sake. But, I'm not really sure, but they probably think that you planning this birthday celebration will be the biggest happiness I can get, so they teamed up to hide this from me. The assistance to Mahiru this time was their way of celebrating Amane's birthday. Even if he did not receive their blessings on that day, he did not mind. He already understood that they sent their best wishes towards him. I know I'm really fortunate to have such caring friends around me, and it's really a blessing. We don't have to celebrate immediately. I don't gauge our friendship based on whether they looked for me. The manner of celebration differed per person. If this was how they would celebrate, Amani felt that was fine. He felt there were no words or things to reliably gauge a person, and the relationships formed were not that shallow. Their goodwill was more than enough. Mahiru looked a little devastated, however. Amane showed a wry smile as he gently patted her head and peered at her face. And it looks like I'll be surrounded tomorrow. You have me to yourself today. So when they ask tomorrow, I got something to brag. Okay? Yes. Amani joked with a chuckle, and it seemed Mahiru did not expect so, for she too smiled and put her face into Amani's chest. Chapter 260. A feast served by the angel. Quite the fancy feast. A man looked at the dining table and blurted out his true thoughts. It was a birthday feast with many dishes on the table, all of which were foods Amane liked. Mahiru usually would emphasize on nutritional balance, but this day was different. There were egg dishes laid next to each other, probably due to Amani's open proclamation of his fondness of eggs. He loved them, and they were nutritious, but it would be bad to indulge excessively. Thus, he would usually be restricted to a day's worth of serving. But this limit was removed just for this day. The most eye-catching on the dinner table was a beef stew with hard-baked omelet rice, which she hardly made, as it was to be prepared since the previous day. Also, there was chawan mushi, potato salad with lots of steamed eggs, boiled pork with eggs. There was sufficient food for an ordinary high school boy, and also various things Amane liked. There were hardly any vegetables, not because he hated them, but that he loved to eat them. I made the dishes you like, Amane-kun, and did not think of the type or nutritional balance. It is fine to indulge once in a while. I shall add more vegetables the next day. So Mahiru said with an elegant giggle. She might have sensed how delighted Amane was, for her face was a little red. Also, we have the dashimaki for tomorrow's breakfast. I made too much this time, and I feel that it will be more fragrant if I leave it to tomorrow. I shall also prepare the salmon seikyo yaki, will miso soup with tofu and daikon work. That's quite a feast early in the morning. Well, it's already a feast in front of me. Fufu. Please hurry and eat before it gets go. The meat in the meat stew is still very tender. Great. The omelet rice of the beef stew is justice. This favorite dish of Amane was hardly served as it would take too much effort. He wanted to squeal in joy and contained these emotions in his heart as he clapped his hands together. Itadakimasu. He did not forget to say his thanks and immediately stuffed the omelet rice of the beef stew into his mouth. He naturally showed a smile. The beef was sufficiently tender to be cut with a spoon, and it did not feel dry when he ate it. It felt very delicious, and on first bite, he knew the meat was of top quality. It had completely absorbed the flavor and was of perfect harmony with the omelet rice. Amane nodded away conscientiously as he quickly savored the other dishes, not forgetting his etiquette. Mahiru too ate elegantly as she giggled at Amane. What's the matter? Nothing. I feel a sense of accomplishment when you are enjoying the food so much. Amane-kun. It's really delicious after all. Of course it's appropriate for me to say it's the best thing. I am content if you think it is the best. Of course I shall not rest on my laurels. This stoic Mahiru had Amani smiling wryly, and he continued to dig in. The plates were cleared in an instant. There was quite the variety, but each serving was well controlled, and he was prone to hunger, especially after work, so he managed to finish them easily. Amain cleaned off the plates nicely, and Mahiru showed a satisfied smile, slowly got up, and put the utensils in the basin. Aman wanted to get up and assist her, but the star of the show should relax. But Mahiru intimidated him with much gentleness, and so he sat back at his chair dejectedly. Once all the utensils were cleared from the table, Mahiru showed another smile at Amane. "There is dessert after dinner. I hope you will enjoy this. Is that what you had been practicing?" "Yes. I am a little displeased with my efforts, and I'm still hesitant on presenting so I modified the recipe heavily so that you should be able to like it, Aman-kun." So that would explain why she was worried about getting fat. It seemed Mahiru had been making and tasting. It would depend on the type of sweets, but they typically were high calories, and it would be no wonder that she was worried about high-calorie intake. "Actually, you can do everything well, Mahiru, though it's rude for me to say this. I'm glad that you're giving so much effort for me, but don't force yourself, you know." "I am not. I just need to exercise a little more after this. That hard work is the reason why your body hasn't changed. Really, that self-discipline is amazing. It is all within the margin of error, and my waistline has not changed significantly. I shall bring it out then." So she said, and took out a plate from the fridge, probably containing the chocolate cake she personally made. And with a clank, the plates were served on the table. The cake was already cut into bite slices, and she silently placed them on the other plates. He looked at the object before him, and it probably was gâteau chocolate, or more akin to raw chocolate. Appearance-wise, it had a firm and solid impression. After that, Mahiru added some cream and mint, but it appeared to be a really simple one. "I chose to make gâteau chocolate. You are not particularly fond of sweets, Amane-kun, so I feel it will be more palatable if you have it with a beverage. I chose milk for this, given the richness of the flavor. It is better if both are eaten together. If the maker says this is the best way to eat it, I'll eat it gratefully." Mahiru put in so much effort in making this, and surely she would not be wrong. Amane showed no worry as he stabbed the fork into the gâteau chocolate while Mahiru watched on. As per its appearance, the cake was taut when he tried to poke at it. Nevertheless, it was easy to cut. He took a bite, gently put it into his mouth, and the first thing he tasted was the rich flavor of chocolate. The gâteau chocolate was a little more similar to raw chocolate. It was sticky and gooey. Yet at the same time, it was different from raw chocolate. He could feel a silky skin in his mouth, and the hardness of the coating was exquisite. The sweetness was controlled, and one could certainly feel the depth and sweetness of the chocolate. One could sense that the chocolate was adjusted to its maximum possible level. "Delicious." He blurted out what he really thought, and Mahiru heaved a sigh of relief, smiling. "It is great that it suits your tastes. I wanted a taste and feeling that is just right. It's really great. It's amazing how you managed to do it this well." "Fufu, I really feel accomplished to have such a reaction. It seemed my efforts were not for naught." She made a bell-like giggle and beamed giddily as she saw Amain click his tongue while eating the gâteau chocolate. "Also, did you notice any other flavor in this?" Once asked, Amane closed his eyes and focused on his taste buds. There was certainly a rich sweetness, and also a fragrance and bitterness distinct from chocolate. It was a fragrance Amane often scented upon at work recently. Coffee, wait our shop?" The delicate flavor and rich fragrance heavily resembled the coffee provided at his workplace. It was half a guess. "You are completely correct." And Mahiru said so with a grin, her hands clapped together. "Ah, I have not been there to have a look though. I had Kido-san buy some coffee beans from your workplace, Amane-kun. The owner even helped to blend and ensure the chocolate taste is richer. I really had to thank them lots. Even Itomaki-san's an accomplice. Well, she's been grinning a lot recently, now that I think about it." He did not expect the owner Itomaki-san to get involved. He sensed cold sweat trickling down his heart, and probably would have a hard time during his next shift. It was true, however, that the coffee was good. Amain heard that freshly grounded coffee was delicious, and he too wanted to buy a coffee machine, but he did not expect to taste it in this manner. Fufu. I merely asked of Kido-san, but news spread before I knew it, and they heartily helped out. Good thing it did not reach your ears, Amane-kun. Seriously, Mahiru. Aman felt bashful because of how Mahiru toiled relentlessly for his sake. He thought of cutting the ghetto chocolate to hide his embarrassment from Mahiru, but she gently stopped him and snatched the fork from his hand. He lifted his face, and their eyes met as Mahiru gave an alluring smile. We finally have a chance. Shall I feed you? I feel I should be feeding you on your birthday. No, that's... Do not worry about it. Mahiru seemed to imply that whatever Amane was tentative about, she would shoo it aside, and she took the gateau chocolate to his mouth. Amane stammered, and obediently ate the cake. Mahiru knew that he definitely was not unwilling, which was why she did so. The embarrassment stung at him lightly, but he sank in the bliss rising within his body. Chapter 261. The Angels Presents. Amane was fed by Mahiru, was embarrassed to the point of near death, and Mahiru continued to beam away as she saw how embarrassed he was. Is it delicious? It is, but you don't have to feed me, right? It is a must. You are the protagonist after all. Aman-kun. If anyone else is around, this is a public execution. Let's just keep it to the both of us. If Itsuki and the others were present, there was no doubt they would tease him like no tomorrow. Otherwise, they might give him warm looks and smiles. Mahiru was more excited than Amane himself. The outsiders might not mind too much, but he was so embarrassed by the fact that he got fed, he was about to roll on the floor. I'll pay back the favor for Mahiru's birthday next time. Amain resolved himself, and used the milk to wash the mouth that was sweetened by Mahiru in 2 ways. And then, Mahiru smiled while she took something from the bag next to her. It was a white box, a little larger than her palm, with a navy blue ribbon. No matter how slow he was, he knew what it was at this point of time. He looked at Mahiru, and her smiling face was a little flushed. This is your birthday present. I wonder if it is to your liking, Mahiru said with a little lack of confidence, put the box in his hand and looked up at him, somewhat uneasy. It seemed she was fine with him opening it there and then, and just wanted to see his reaction. It was rare for him to receive a present, so he should open it. He cautiously undid the ribbon and found a velvet box inside it. He had assumed there would be a present placed inside it, but there was another box inside. He was momentarily taken aback, and surely, inside it would contain the feelings Mahiru wanted to startle Amane with. What's inside it? Why so many layers? So Amane wondered as he gently opened the inner box. It seemed to be something. It was something with a mild white gloss, like a clip or something. There seemed to be some flower engraved on it, and for a moment, he did not realize what it was. He remembered it was something he wore at the school festival. A necktie pin? That is correct, to be honest. I really wondered what I should give to a boy. I thought of giving a watch, which is more common, but I could not simply give an expensive one, and I was worried you would be too embarrassed to accept it. Everyone has their own likes, and to be honest, I see that you have a watch, which you seem to be rather fond of. They usually had phones, and Amain did not really wear his watch. The only one he would wear outdoors was the one his parents bought to celebrate his enrollment in high school. It seemed that was a little pricey, and a little unsuited for school. Amane hardly spent time outdoors, so he hardly wore a watch outdoors. He did wear that watch when he went out with Mahiru, and it seemed she remembered, so I thought of an item you will use but usually will not buy. Our school allows us to wear a necktie pin as long as it does not stand out too much, you know. You will also use it when you go out to work. Aman had to wear a necktie pin during a ceremony, but there were no other special restrictions. Most of the boys too did not wear one, for they found it a hassle. Amain too hardly wore it, and usually forgot about it. Since Mahiru gave it to him, he might have to wear it every day. It seemed she chose this for him, hoping that he would wear this every day. I can give you a tie, and you will need quite a few when you go out to work. But for us students, the choice of necktie is fixed, as per the school rules. I shall choose one for you when you get a chance to wear a suit. Thanks. I'll make sure to wear it well. Obviously, the implication without her saying was that they would be together forever. The heat of the joy naturally filled his chest. Of course, he already intended so right from the beginning. He felt embarrassed to sense the same feelings from Mahiru, and yet elated. I shall treasure this necktie pin along with you forever, Mahiru. He engraved this feeling along with the thought, and smiled at Mahiru, who looked relieved, smiling. That is good. I was worried you would not like it. After all, I know this is not usually a gift to a high school boy. I'll be glad to receive whatever you give, Mahiru. Fufu, I know that, but I feel that I should give you something you need. Amane-kun. You do not have any interest in material items, and you do not lack in anything, so I was really troubled. Aman typically did not have anything he really wanted, which actually bothered her, which caused him to smile wryly. He would not say that he did not have any material desire, and if there was anything, it would be the budget for the thing he swore to buy for Mahiru. He had to struggle for this, and he could not ask her for such an embarrassing thing. He never told Mahiru exactly why he was working, and naturally, he should not inform her of what he wanted. In this sense, Aman truly had nothing he wanted. He hardly had any desire, which troubled her greatly. For me, I'll like everything you give me. Will you be happy if I give you a sweet wrapper too? That is a little scary. I'll think you're planning something, or that the patterns are interesting or cute, and I'll keep it. I will not give it for real though. If that is to happen, I will give you the sweets too. All right. I know you're joking. I'll be glad with anything as long as it comes with your feelings, Mahiru. Goodness. Mahiru sounded a little displeased, but her expression was gentle, so she was probably hiding her embarrassment. Aman happily looked at Mahiru, gently kept the pin, and swore to wear it starting from the next day. Then Mahiru timidly tugged at his sleeve. Well, there is another little present. The somewhat hesitant tone had Aman tilt his head in confusion. Today, I shall agree to whatever you ask for, from now until the end of the day. Once Mahiru said this, Amane nearly choked. Luckily, he was not drinking the milk. He would have spat it out if there was. He coughed gently a few times, and she turned around, seemingly having resolved herself. It seemed she was serious. That's dangerous. We are dating after all. Even so, he sensed that he had said the same thing before. Either way, it was a dangerous situation, when a girl said she would agree to whatever a boy wanted. Even as lovers, dangerous things were dangerous. Should I say you are being considerate? Or that you have no desire, Amane-kun? That's not it. I can't. You're a girl, though. I do not think you will do anything overboard, Amane-kun. What if I do? I shall have you bear responsibility. Mahiru shot him an innocent and trustful expression, and he instinctively sensed that he lost. He gently tickled his face and silently reached his hand towards her. I'll bear responsibility even if I don't do anything. You idiot. Truly, Mahiru doted on Amane, and it was a little scary how she would let him do whatever he wanted. Amane was a fine, healthy young man, but his sanity might not last forever. But it shows how much she likes me, I guess. He felt that this level of trust was way too much, and gently hugged her soft body to his side, burying his face into her shoulder. He took a deep breath, and it seemed she had taken a bath beforehand, for he sensed a bath fragrance richer than usual. If I say I want Mahiru, she probably will nod in agreement. Aman did not intend to disobey his own oath, but he could imagine her nodding in embarrassment. An overly doting girlfriend was terrifying after all, and he might even wreck his self-control. A male's sanity was thinner than paper grass and would rip upon impact. Once again, he tensed up and warned himself to be wary. He moved his lips to her cheek and breathed onto it. Mahiru then shivered. Everyone could tell that she was ticklish and sensitive. However, he did not intend to show her to anyone. The fact that she was sensitive all over was something only he should know. Mahiru continued to wriggle in his clutches, but did not resist. Amane smiled and put his lips by her ear. "Oh yeah, it's been a while, so how about you be my Dakamakura?" Since Mahiru wanted Amane to request, he chose one which would allow him to fawn to his heart's content, without snapping his sanity, and Mahiru in his clutches went beetroot. Aman just wanted her to be a Dakimakura, nothing more, as the term implied. She, however, seemed to have some strange delusion. Aman did not intend to do what he did the last time he stayed over. He managed to slam the brakes at the last minute, and if anything more, he did not know what would have happened. "That's what I mean. A Dakimakura. What are you thinking?" "Nen, not at all. I am not thinking of anything indecent. I haven't said what you're thinking, though." He did not mention anything more, and she was more flushed than she was before. The completely red-faced Mahiru practically had steam rising out from her, and she looked up at him with teary eyes before she escaped from his clutches. "Be baka, Amane-kun no baka. I didn't do anything right." But this is bullying." "All right, I admit, I was mischievous. Sorry, you're so cute that Amane had the urge to tease Mahiru, for she was fine with being touched, but if he said too much, she definitely would pout. Thus, he apologized first, and Mahiru stopped showing her displeasure. She ended up hammering lightly at his chest instead. She looked so cute without hiding her blushing face as she vented on him. He smiled as he patted her head, but she did not seem to have recovered, for there were 2 little balloons on her cheeks. I shall get a change of clothes. Please have a bath first, Aman-kun." The warm smile on Amane's face did not change, and Mahiru scampered out of the room. She would be back soon, however. Amane was stunned to see Mahiru escape like a bunny, but he then felt a rising urge to dote on her, and he chuckled. Chapter 262, The Cute Rabbit Angel. Amane was done with his bath, returned to the living room, and Mahiru, who was not in, had returned. She had changed into her pajamas, the faint pink bunny pajamas she bought the last time. A man had the kitty version, not a matching type, but he did not expect her to actually wear it on this day and had his usual nightwear on instead. The heart that was usually dangling behind her hair was hung loose behind her ears, hoodie on, unadorned, and she looked really adorable. The last 2 stayovers, she deliberately chose a negligee and a baby doll dress that were rather skimpy to test Amen's sanity. This time it appeared Amen could at ease. "It really suits you. It's just like you, Mahiru." "What do you mean by that?" "Like, you're little, fluffy, and cute, and it shows how you're scared of loneliness." In fact, rabbits were not exactly such creatures, but the impression they had was that they were petite, soft, fluffy, cute, and scared of loneliness. They were basically an embodiment for Mahiru. To be honest, he was praising her, but she appeared to be unhappy. She puffed her cheeks and looked up at Amane, and once she saw that his hair was wet, she frowned harder. "I know how you look at me, Amane-kun, but more importantly, did you choose to deliberately not dry your hair because I'm around? Why did you not use the dryer on your hair?" Mahiru pinched at Amane's hair, reproaching so you figured out. So Amane showed a wry smile. He would dry his hair properly whenever Mahiru was around, and would occasionally wipe with a towel whenever Mahiru was not too busy, letting Mahiru dry the rest. He knew this would cause her trouble, so this little bit of fawning was truly once in a while. The joy of Mahiru touching him and caring for him prompted him to do so, however. Childish it might be, Amane could not change this habit. "You're thinking too much, all right, it's not. I did it on purpose. I want you to do it for me, Mahiru." "Goodness, but it is fine. I enjoy this, and this is your way of fawning around." Mahiru had seen through Amane completely, and Amane felt conflicted, but he was then relieved once she saw how impishly she giggled. "Come here," she prodded, and so Amane sat on the sofa. Mahiru gave him a bewildered look that betrayed her delighted smile, so he too smiled as he plugged in the dryer. The dryer at home was silent, and the wind warmer than Mahiru's hair buzzed at him quietly. Most of the water was dried off messily with a towel, and Mahiru only had to finish the job and dry off the rest. She continued to warm his hair carefully and even checked on the hair texture. "Good, looks like you did not slack in caring for your hair," so she muttered. When Amane last touched Mahiru's skin, Mahiru said that it would be better for her skin to be a little smoother, so she did care for it well. At the same time, Amane thought she would be happier if his skin was a little smoother when she touched him, so he did care of it somewhat. Thanks to that, he had smooth hair recently, and it was easier for him to comb through. "But Amane-kun, you had fine hair to begin with. Thanks to my parents. They're thinner and softer though, and get entangled easily. But it is easier to make them smoother, so that is good now. I think a hair care product as a present might be fine. You should have made it a little more moist," so she said as she dried his hair. She pulled out a comb out of nowhere, and deftly combed the hair that was fluffy due to the air flowing through. And thus the hairstyle was just as Mahiru liked it. According to her, she also liked the men's style which she was used to seeing at school, but at this point, she was calmed. "If you want it a little more glossy, I'll just improve on it then. It is not that I like it. I just find it nicer to touch, and more enjoyable to comb through. I'll ask Katawaki and the others if they got any suggestions. If you're happy, I'm happy." And just like that, she ended up touching more often than before. That would be the main objective, but he decided not to mention it for the time being. If Mahiru liked it, it was worth Amani's effort to care of it, and this probably would improve his confidence, which was a good thing while he thought about it. Mahiru put the comb onto the table, her forehead onto his arm, and she rolled about. The familiar manner of hiding her embarrassment had Amane chuckling to himself quietly. Whenever she rolled her head about, the ears on her hood would twitch, and Amane was all the more bemused. "That bunny there has 4 pink ears now. Quiet, I should have you wear one too. Amane-kun, I am a bunny now after all. So it'll be a bunny taking care of a cat's fur." "That is cute. No, I'm fine with you being the only cute thing, Mahiru. If he were careless, the predator and the prey, the cat and rabbit, would end up getting so friendly, and he would have the urge to laugh at that. However, he did not think he would be cute, even if he became a cat." Compared to the past, Amani was a little fitter, and the childish vibe on his face was gradually fading away. He lost his cuteness a long time again, and was mystified as to why Mahiru called him cute, but it was merely a sense of personal taste, which he could not do anything about. The redness on her cheeks gradually faded away, and she looked up at Amane. He did not know of this cuteness Mahiru said about him, so he kissed her on the lips, deliberately rattling her. She immediately blinked, and her face turned red. She did not resist, probably because she was so elated. Amane embraced her, and she lost all strength in her body, practically telling Amane to do as he pleased. He gently ate up the alluring lips, and slowly pried apart the peach clams. Mahiru accepted him honestly, and did not resist. There had been a little change to Mahiru recently, that she would invite Aman in, and also do the same things to him. To be honest, she was adorable. He heard this weak sound all to himself, and was delighted that the adorable bunny welcomed the wolf, while shivering. He did not like such a deep kiss, for the brimming passion would have gone overboard. One time he stayed over, however, he overdid it and terrified her, so he tried to ensure the kiss was gentle and yet deep. "I should have bought a wolf pajamas instead of a cat." Both sides silently pulled their lips away from each other, and after a short moment, Mahiru paced her erratic breathing as she murmured begrudgingly. Aman smiled, trying his best not to let the embarrassment from the kiss run amok. "In that case, the only cute thing is the little bunny Mahiru. You bully?" Mahiru pursed her lips that were wetter than before, and this time she head-butted his arm, expressing her displeasure. "And this is where you're not cute. I am not. You lie. You are so new at this." "Shut up." It was to be expected, since it was his first time dating. At this point, Amani could barely conceal the embarrassment and nervousness that came with being a couple. But it was to be expected that he was initially not used to it. If that innocence was cute, then he would rather Mahiru have that instead. He did not want the one he liked to see him lose composure. I shall find a chance to shock you next time. I cannot be losing every time. Mahiru pouted unnecessarily, and Amani stuffed her lips again to prevent her ploy from leaking out, savoring the sweet lips. Chapter 263, Belonging to Each Other. After a short kiss, Amani accompanied Mahiru into the bedroom. Mahiru had visited the bedroom a few times already, but she was still a little tense, and her hand holding Amani's was a little tighter. In turn, Amani smiled as he gently stroked his fingers over her palm to get her to relax, and held it as he led her onto the bed. So Mahiru sat on the bed, shivering away, looking embarrassed, resembling a rabbit who was to be eaten by a wolf. Once he saw how adorable she was, he sheathed back the fangs that were about to be exposed at his prey, sat next to her, and patted her head to coax her. He said he would not do anything, but she was still nervous, probably because it was the bedroom. I'm not going to eat you. Didn't I say that I'll have you as a dakimakura today? Is that so? Are you looking forward to it? No, not at all. It is just that. Amane-kun. You. Me? You look so composed and so manly. It feels embarrassing. You meanie? So Mahiru fidgeted and shriveled as she looked up at Amani, looking awkward. Amani thought to himself that he did well on the surface, and smiled. Truly, he might look composed, but inside he was not. Rather, he could not be composed simply because he understood her somewhat. He only remained composed, for he knew that if he was too anxious, he would terrify Mahiru. Also, he felt that if he panicked, he would not be manly at all. I told you before that I'm not exactly the most composed. I just want to show you my cool so I didn't look that way. So will you show it to me if I say I want to have a look? No, meanie. It's embarrassing to be blushing and stammering. It was 5 months since they started dating, and if he was to blush whenever they kissed or petted each other, that would be too embarrassing. Amain felt that a female would rather he was a reliable person and that it would be better if Mahiru could be calmed down like this. However, she cautiously pinched the hem of his shirt. I want to see you as you are a man-kun. Please take it as my willfulness, please, she asked softly and uneasily. Amani put his hands on his face and sighed. It seemed his bravado was unnecessary. Look, I'm acting cool in front of you because I like you. Please understand. So Amani embraced Mahiru and pulled her to his side, his forehead on her shoulder. She froze for a moment, and one could hear a soft giggle. You are always cute and cool. No need for the cute part. Fufu. I have gained lots then, since I saw both sides to you. Her joyous words left Aman unable to speak. He turned her onto the bed, trying to hide his embarrassment, it seemed. He did it carefully to minimize the impact, and the most he did was to shake her. He did not consider, however, the shock to Mahiru's heart, and his action had her blinking furiously in shock. Shame finally won after Mahiru kept staring at him, so he embraced her tightly and buried his face into her large lumps. The feeling of the lumps were warm, fluffy, and very soft, probably because of the bunny pajamas. The sweet, refreshing fragrance of hers was wonderful beyond words. Amane might be excited if the vibe Mahiru had was the imagination she was worried yet expectant for. But as she was completely relaxed, he had no real desire to do anything more, and merely sank his body and mind into the comfort and bliss. Mahiru tensed up, but once she saw that Amani did not do anything, she started patting his head. It felt good. You really like to fawn today, too. Can't I do that? Yes. Mahiru probably saw that he was embarrassed, and gently let out a delighted giggle. You really are bold today, Amane-kun. I just want to touch you more today. That is fine, but well, it feels normal, actually. Well, I thought you would be more direct. No, well, I like to touch, and want to know you more, but then again I feel fulfilled just experiencing your body warmth when I'm next to you. He lifted his face from the valley, and then embraced her slender body in his clutches. Amani never really intended to do what Mahiru imagined, and if that happened every time they stayed over, his sanity would reach his limits. She would accept whatever he did with such overbearing cuteness, and he was scared that he would slowly inch towards the endless desire. However, he really did not intend to do anything on this day. Even boys would not be thinking of doing such things all the time, for living together peacefully with their beloved women would be enough happiness. The satisfaction of the flesh might be quite lacking compared to the direct contact the last time, but the mental satisfaction far surpassed that. The woman he loved to the point of swearing his future with was leaning next to him, her eyes filled with trust and love. What else could bring about more solace, bliss, and satisfaction? Mahiru showed a fluffy smile, as though agreeing that she was happy to simply be touched by Amane, and clung onto his chest. I too feel happy to have you by my side, Amane-kun. That's good. It'll be unfair if I'm the only one. This happiness comes far too easy. I too get happy easily when I am next to you, Amane-kun. Your presence next to me is all I need, but I feel happier to touch you. Once she made such a cute statement, Mahiru looked up at Aman, pleading with her expression. You want to touch? Not to say that you can't, but I don't think a guy's body feels good. Really? I do like those who do not have much muscle. The belly feels taut when I touch it. Once she was allowed to, she gingerly stroked her fingers across Amani's chest and abdomen. He wondered that Keto's influence was definitely at work, and the ticklish feeling had him wriggling. She was so happy, though, so he decided to dote on her and laugh it off. I think the muscle training paid off. Can't say I'm a bean sprout now. I think it is fine. A little firm, not too much excess flesh. You seem sturdier compared to before. Don't mention about the past. I was so weak back then. Mahiru's recollection of the past had Amane embarrassed. His muscles were sturdy at this point, but back then he had quite the unreliable-looking back. He did not have much excess flesh, but that was because he was skinny to begin with, a complete weakling. It was a complete difference from being called healthy. Thinking back about it, Amane really wanted to punch his old self and rally himself together. Mahiru seemed to prefer Amane's current body, and he felt that his hard work had paid off. After some training, the trendy clothes would suit him. It seemed his decision to be a worthy match for Mahiru was not for naught. Fufu, but you were really boyish back then. When you carried me, I thought you were a different, starting from the bones. Well, yeah, you're small and really bony, Mahiru. His hard work had allowed him to carry Mahiru's taut, yet soft body. That aside, she was smaller, or in other words, she was just small all over. Small I may be, but I am sturdier than you imagine. No, Amani-kun. That's small too. I think it's fine if I can just touch you gently. Otherwise, I'll break you. You never used that much strength before? How can I snap? But even then, I should treasure the ones important to me and pay more attention to her. Amane wanted to be a fine gentleman to Mahiru as much as he could. He wanted to treasure, accompany, and protect her for the rest of his life, and this would mean he needed to be more careful than usual, for fear of hurting her. He knew he was overly protective, but Mahiru was still a feeble female, whose strength and tautness was inferior to that of a male's, and Amane should pay more attention in this regard. He knew that Mahiru did not wish to be coddled, and wanted to respect her free will while giving her the gentleness she wanted. Also, he would never do anything to make her cry. He made it his life goal to ensure her happiness, and muttered so at her ear. Once she heard that, her face turned redder than Amane's thank you very much, so she whispered, It is your birthday, Amane-kun, but I feel that my desires are being satisfied. No, I'm satisfied too, you know. The day just passed. Mahiru had satisfied Amane greatly, especially his feelings, and she really did not worry. Also, before she knew it, the day was over. The birthday had just passed. It probably was due to them forgetting the time, cuddling and kiss on the sofa and the bed, for the birthday passed, yet he felt unbridled joy. Really, I wanted to fulfill more of our wishes, Amane-kun. Time really passed quickly. Don't think whatever I say now can be fulfilled. Anyway, what do you want to say? I want a kiss from you before we sleep, Mahiru. They kissed back then, but that was a man kissing Mahiru. The latter, the more flustered of the duo, would hardly take the initiative to do so. She preferred to do so on the lips, but her shame so prevented her from taking that step. And so, since it was his birthday, he suggested to Mahiru that he wanted her to kiss him, an embarrassing preposition to be heard by anyone else. Of course, he knew it was out of character of him, and she looked troubled and dumbfounded for some reason. "You really have no desire, Amane-kun. I thought you would have asked for something more important. I'm satisfied enough. What more do I want? I have my lover celebrating my birthday next to me, giving me warmth. This is enough, not that I don't have desires, just that they are already fulfilled. Then I am very greedy." Mahiru? Greedy was not a word Amani would particularly associate with Mahiru, but she nodded with a serious look, and her eyebrows drooped. "I feel lonely whenever you go to work, Amani-kun, and I always yearn for you to return sooner. I was also worried if you will attract other women, Amani-kun. I always think that you are dashing, so what will happen if you are popular with the women? I do not want to disturb your decision, and I am not worried that you will cheat on me, but I do feel uneasy. I do wonder if you will leave me." "Even though I do not wish to disturb you, Amane-kun." Mahiru pinned her face onto Amane's chest and muttered so. "I do not want you to leave me. I want you to touch me more. I want you to always, always be by my side. I think I may be too greedy after all." Once Mahiru expressed her true thoughts, Amane had the urge to smile. Every single sentence showed how much she loved and treasured him. She wished to be by his side forward, and that was how much she was fond of him. That was truly a lover's providence. Mahiru described her possessiveness as greedy. Amani smiled and embraced her somewhat firmly. "Maybe my love is more than yours, Mahiru. More than you imagine." Mahiru said that her love was heavy, but in that case Amane's might be heavier. In no way was he intending to let go. He might let her go with bloody tears if that could ensure Mahiru's happiness, but he would never leave her otherwise. He always toiled to personally present her with happiness. He did not intend to escape his responsibilities by dismissing it as being for Mahiru's sake. He truly wanted to toil for her sake, to live through every day with such brimming emotions. "My family's always single-minded and deeply in love. I guess I'm no exception. Maybe you haven't felt it, Mahiru, but the heaviness isn't the kind of wanting to bind someone, but to pour emotions into you. I won't let you go no matter what. I don't want you to care for anyone else other than me. So sometimes I worry if you hate me." Amani knew those were some heavy emotions. It would be too rude towards Mahiru if he was to be frivolous, and that was why he dated her seriously and intended to confess to her with the intention to be together forward. To others, this surely would seem very heavy. Despite that, Mahiru smiled happily. Her smile was brimming with happiness and joy. "I really am blessed to be loved so greatly. Is it not ideal to have someone unwilling to let go of me and always look at me?" "Huh, really?" "Really. I will not let you leave too, Amani-kun. So we are the same. You will not pay attention to others, no?" There was no way Aman would do what Mahiru said. Once he nodded, Mahiru smiled happily and inched her body close. The pretty face up close had a bubbly smile. "Shall I leave myself to you and yourself to me, Amane-kun?" she muttered passionately, and they closed the distance. First, their breaths were intertwined, and then the gap between them was gone, for they stuck close to each other. Their lips touched, but this mere kiss brought about a fiery heat. The relief and joy formed a sense of comfort, and their hearts naturally seared. The mere seconds of contact brought about a satisfaction different from a deep kiss. Amani exchanged looks with Mahiru, and they smiled. So they continued to look at each other, and there was nothing to worry about. "Good night, Amani-kun. Have a good dream." "Good night, Mahiru. You belong to me," so she seemed to imply as she leaned on him, smiling sweetly. Amani too answered with a calm smile and gently closed his eyes. Chapter 264. The next day. Once he woke up, Aman found Mahiru in his clutches, looking up at him. His mind was still a little bit discombobulated as he had just woken up. Why was she here? And then he remembered that Mahiru stayed over the previous day, only to finally comprehend the situation. It seemed just like the last time. Mahiru waited for Amane to wake up, and did not leave his clutches. Once she did notice that a man woke up, she wriggled into a comfortable position within Amane's arms and said to him bashfully, "Good morning, Amane-kun." "Morning. When did you wake up?" "About 10 minutes or so ago. I wanted to lie and relax and see you sleeping soundly before going to make breakfast. Is it fun to look at me?" "Of course. It gives me energy. Thanks to that, I am energetic in the morning." So Mahiru said with a lively expression, looking completely satisfied. Amane had an unspeakable itch, so he cuddled her to hide this feeling. This sudden embrace took Mahiru by surprise. "Give me some energy." But Amane muttered so, and she became obedient, wrapping her arms around his back and embraced him. The manner in which Mahiru slowly acted showed that there was still much time, so Amane seized the chance to enjoy her scent, a gentle, warm, refreshing, sweet scent. "You really do like to fawn about," so Mahiru said. "Whose fault do you think it is?" Amane wanted to retort, but there was no way Mahiru did not know the answer. He said nothing and continued to cling onto her. Such a blissful morning caused his eyelids to naturally sink. Mahiru gently tapped at his back, probably having noticed that his breathing indicated that he was about to sleep. "Aman-kun, please do not sleep. I want to skip classes like this and keep sleeping." Is this what the honor student Amane-kun should be saying? Do you really not want to leave the futon? Is this the magic of the futon? More like the magic of Mahiru. Mahiru's existence was a bigger temptation than the futon, and if he remained unchecked, he might skip school entirely while dragging Mahiru down. And Mahiru, who had that temptation herself, gently sighed, only to snuggle from Amane's clutches. "I shall leave then, and you will be free from the spell. Now then, get up and clean up. I know, I cannot pamper you in all aspects. Now please get up and wash your face." There were times when she should pamper, and times when she should not. Once she saw Amane about to snuggle back into the futon, she pulled the blanket off him. Aman intended to get up, even if she did not do so. But he could only give a wry smile once he saw how delighted Mahiru looked when she woke up him. "I guess it'll be nice to have her wake me up like this in the future." Aman could wake up punctually if he wanted to, but he felt that since Mahiru would take care of him, it was fine to play around if it was early. He just needed to ensure that he did not cause Mahiru trouble. He did not want to cause her trouble, but it seemed she liked to care for him, so it should be fine for him to fawn around with her. He discreetly thought so to himself and felt a little cold. He got up from the bed and got a change of clothes. "So, what about changing clothes? Do I go to the bathroom first?" "Please do. No peeking, though?" "Who's peeking?" "I need approval before I will do that anyway, right?" Even as lovers, they had a relationship of innocence and did not live together. Aman did not intend to see Mahiru get changed. This was a matter of privacy, and more importantly, his sense of shame at this point overwhelmed him. If Amane got changed in Mahiru's presence, Mahiru might end up shriveling, but the reverse would not be the case. Both sides might be murdered. Do you want to look?" "I'd be lying if I say I don't want to look, but I don't want to ruin your mood. And it's not good for our sanities early in the morning." That is true. You don't have to show me. It's not like we have to show everything to each other." As a boy, Aman naturally had an inclination to know, but this was not something he should do at this point. He had to gain approval, and more importantly, they should not be doing so early in the morning, since they would be going to school. "I know that." So Amane shrugged. He was about to leave the room, only to hear Mahiru mutter from behind. "This is a virtue of yours, Amane-kun, and yet a frustrating point." After they got changed, they enjoyed the breakfast that was mentioned yesterday. Dashimaki, grilled salmon with seikyo sauce, various side dishes, miso soup, and white rice. Amane was done, brushed his teeth, and got ready to go to school. He prepared the textbooks the previous days, and he simply had to put on a tie and a blazer. but his hand stopped as he had a little thought. What is it? Mahiru quizzed with intrigue once she saw him remain still, as though brooding. Amane then hesitantly handed over the tie in his hand and pin in his hands to Mahiru. The necktie pin was the birthday present he received the previous day. Since he had a chance, Amani hoped to entrust her, who gifted him so, with the first moment of putting it on. "Can you put on my tie?" he asked hesitantly, and Mahiru blinked a few times, only to then understand his intent, for she beamed, yes, and nodded. With a polite gesture, she received the tie and pin, knelt down before Amani, who was seated on the sofa, and put the tie on his neck. The method to tie someone else's tie was different than doing so for oneself, but Mahiru's process went smoothly. She then picked up the pretty pin with the flower carving and cautiously, solemnly put the pin on. Aman never wore a pin except during the school ceremonies, but this might be why Mahiru chose this for him, and he did not think anything was amiss. "Does it suit me?" "Of course, since I chose it for you, Amane-kun." Mahiru smiled with unshakable belief, and Amane too naturally smiled. "You have keen eyes after all. It works out well for you. Of course, it is important to notice the details in dressing up. I don't really need to dress up, though. I just want to know if the thing you gave me suits me, Mahiru." "It does. Please do not worry." Sometimes Mahiru would lavish excessive praise on Amane, but she would usually opinionate on appearances in a subjective manner, so it seemed that was fine. The pin appeared somewhat between the gap of the blazer, but a detail of this level might affect a person's disposition completely. He was delighted to wear anything Mahiru chose for him, and naturally his back straightened. Everything might be due to wanting his thoughts, his deeds, to be befitting of standing next to Mahiru. "You really will be dashing once you have some self-confidence, Amane-kun." Mahiru giggled as she gently put the blazer onto Amane. "And what if I don't? Moreso on the cute side. Some coolness, though. All right. I got lots of things to say, but I'm suave enough now, right?" "Yes, very. Enough to stand by your side, Mahiru." He never hesitated about standing next to her. However, there were times when he doubted, worried if others would think he was unfit for that position. He did not think he would back down just because others thought so, but such a notion would still bother him. He continued to train himself, but he did not know if he could see the effects yet. Mahiru's answer was obvious, but Amani had to ask. "Goodness." So Mahiru said with bewilderment and patted his cheek. "It is fine. You are dashing both inside and outside, Amane-kun. I will not allow anyone to badmouth you, but my feelings aside, you are a great person." "I see. That's good. Let's go to school together." "Yes." Amani stood up, reached his hand out, and Mahiru grabbed it without hesitation. She always conveyed her earnest feelings towards him, and because of this, he could stand next to her with his back upright and hold her hand, moving forward. The changes he had till this point were all thanks to Mahiru. "I'm not letting go. I'll make you happy and never let you go." So he swore once again, smiled gently towards Mahiru, and they left the house together. Chapter 265. Celebration at School. "By the looks of it, you had a good time yesterday." It was the day after Aman's birthday, and he got teased by Itsuki at school. It appeared Mahiru had some matter to deal with at the staff room. So Amane entered the classroom alone, only to be welcomed by a smirking Itsuki. Incidentally, Chitose hadn't arrived at school yet. "Don't make it sound like there's something else to that. It's just a normal celebration." "Again with that? Seriously. You. Just joking." "Well, glad to hear that Shina-san's preparations went well." Itsuki patted Amani on the shoulder to calm him down, and nodded as though he had seen through everything. Amani couldn't reproach him for anything, so he grumbled a little and sighed. "Thanks for helping out, Mahiru." "Well, I didn't do anything at all. If anything, Chi and Kido-san were the ones who chipped in more, like advice or help and such. And you helped cover up for them. Thanks for that. Well, it's a rare chance for a surprise anyway. Looks like you really enjoyed your birthday, and that's great. Anyway, happy birthday." Itsuki, the most caring person, smiled and patted him on the shoulder again, as if it was nothing. Aman bit his lips that were losing control due to joy and embarrassment. Yeah, and replied softly. Later, he would have to thank Shitosi, who had yet to arrive. It was likely Mahiru had consulted with her quite a bit. He was really overjoyed in many ways that he had a friend willing to celebrate his birthday, but a classmate, upon hearing that, suddenly came over. It's Fujimiya-kun's birthday? Actually, it's yesterday. Once Itsuki affirmed, Eh. The classmate squealed loudly and stared at Amane. Why didn't you say so? Shiina-san and the others didn't say anything. I didn't know at all. Well, it was a surprise or something. I see. But it's just weird that they didn't tell us. I don't have anything with me today. Is juice fine? I'll give you this candy then. It's limited edition. Don't do it. That's a bad idea. What's wrong with you? This wonderful taste is addictive. Your taste buds are wonky. Amane was very perturbed by the classmates who seemed to have overheard, and Isuki just smiled and whispered, They're all friendly, just accept them. Ever since he decided to change himself before everyone, Amane felt that he had become a little closer to his classmates, but it was the first time they openly went up to congratulate him, and his heart felt warm and fuzzy. If he had remained clammed up and avoided getting involved with people, he wouldn't be surrounded by people like this now. Thanks everyone. I'm really glad. The classmates around Amane smiled brightly as he thanked them in a voice that couldn't hide his embarrassment, and once again, he muttered a small thank you. Chapter 266. Friends' Blessings. You have become popular before I even realized, Amane-kun. Mahiru returned to the classroom after she was done with her task and was shocked and delighted to see their classmates celebrate Amane's birthday. It was to be expected, however, since Aman usually would not be surrounded by so many. Their classmates were simply celebrating his birthday, and it was not actually a matter of him being popular. Good morning, Shiina-san. Don't worry, I won't be stealing Fujimiya-kun. I'm not worried about that. I am just shocked to see him surrounded by everyone. Well, I guess if Amane's surrounded, that shows that it's only possible when he's dating Mahirun. That shocked me too. Chitosi, who arrived at the classroom alongside Mahiru, widened her eyes as well. Once she met Amane in the eyes, she showed a mischievous leer. The old Amane would be completely flabbergasted. Yeah, I'd be speechless. Amane admitted to the past gloomy vibe he used to have that was completely different from this point. The old Amane might not be able to handle this present him. But Amane did not hate his present self. He put in the proper effort so that he could stand next to his beloved. Though his sense of inferiority did not disappear, it was somewhat mitigated. The most accurate description of him would be that he was more accepting of himself. Having experienced firsthand the undeniable fact that love changes people, Amane felt embarrassed, bitter, and nostalgic as he thought of his past self. He gulped, showed a faint smile. You're more relaxed now, huh? And Chitose giggled. I guess this is a positive example of how loving someone changes a person. Shut up. Is that bad? Oh, Anya, I think it's good though. It's not like your old self is bad or something, but aren't you happier now, Amane? Chitose grinned away as she put her index fingers at her cheeks, indicating that Amane often smiled nowadays, and the latter could not help but facepalm. He glanced aside at Mahiru, who nodded with a gentle smile, the shock from before nary to be seen. You are gentler compared to before? No? Yeah, that stare is different. It wasn't as obvious as when he saw you, Shiina-san. He's so head over heels for that Shiina-san, doting on her even. I think the angel has become more dear nowadays. I get it. Stop looking at me. I'm aware that I'm too doting on Mahiru. Amane's expression would relax whenever he faced Mahiru. And while he did try to keep his guard up, his classmates clearly had paid attention. He could hear boys and girls chiming in agreement. Amane started to feel awkward again when this was pointed out, and when the ends of his lips started to tickle. Okay, this is enough. Otherwise, Amane will start to pout. Chitose clapped and changed the mood. You should have said so from the beginning, Amane thought so, but Chitose was probably celebrating Amane's birthday in her own way. She giggled and took out a wrapped box from her bag. So, here's a present from Ikun and me that's a day late. Seriously. Thank you for setting this up together with Mahiru for my sake. Yufufu, I'm Mahirun's one true friend after all. Of course I'll help with whatever my adorable friend is planning. For you. Chitose sounded more elated than usual as she handed over the box, which was heavier than Amane had assumed. Since it was a present chosen by Itsuki and Chitose, there should not be any problems. Of course, Amane would be delighted unless the present was too tasteless. They had fine taste, so the present chosen should not cause worry, but the plain weight had him looking mystified. Let me ask first, what's inside this? Yeah, you're asking now. I can say what it is, though. Aman glanced aside at Mahiru and found himself suddenly uneasy. Oi, what's with the meaning in those words? Ahaha, just kidding. It's not anything dangerous, just some bath powder and salts. One of them is what Mahiru likes, and the other is said to be good for metabolism. I thought the two of you can use it. Pfft. Why for the two of us? Isn't it usually for one? The item itself was good, but the unnecessary line itself had Amane frowning. There was some skinship, but their current relationship remained pure. It would be real troublesome if everyone assumed the two of them bathed together. While that did happen before, they would wear a swimsuit or have towels draped over them, and it did not happen during every stayover. Won't this cause misunderstanding? Aman glared back. And Chitose unhappily pouted back. Aman had the urge to pinch her cheeks, but he held back. Say, won't this cause misunderstandings? We have a real coward here. Shut up, Itsuki. Hey, well, even if I do keep quiet about this, everyone knows about your feelings. Ow. I get it. Amane rubbed his fist at the flank of the approaching Itsuki, but it felt hard, and he felt like he lost out. Since he got Itsuki to shut up, Amane let out a deep sigh. I'm really grateful for the present, and your feelings, but just don't say anything unnecessary. So he said as he tried to preserve his cheeks that were overheating with shame as he earnestly brought the present to his seat. And then Itsuki pretentiously put his hands on his own hips and retorted. Say Amane. Once they left the crowd, Itsuki put his mouth gently near Amane's ear. What? I never mentioned that you two are going to bathe together. The idea is that you two would bathe individually. Shut up. I already kept my voice down, though. Aman realized that he dug himself a hole, so he pursed his lips and looked elsewhere. Itsuki in turn gave a hearty laugh and giddily slapped Amane on the back.